Hi, good day to you, meteorologist Brian Ivy. Obviously, major winter storm, one that's going to go down in the memory books and for some, the record books as well. This is a once in 10-year type storm, absolutely. There will probably be some debate when all said and done if this ranks up there a little bit more in that once in a couple of decades, once in a lifetime type storm. Certainly a top 10 that goes back into as long as we've been keeping records in a lot of areas, and that goes back into the late 1800s. This is the current look on things. You got a huge, very strong bombogenesis low pressure system, a beautiful nor'easter carving out a nice deck of cloud cover, and then of course just pouring snow still across areas of the East Coast, but it's starting to break down a little bit. This is absolutely crazy impressive. I mean, these are very strong isobar pressure bars, and you see that kind of cascade all the way to the west. So if you're wondering in Detroit why it's windy, there you go. Pittsburgh, why it's windy, there you go. But this is the intense wind that's pushing in off the ocean. As we zoom on in here into this feature, you could see kind of what looks like a hurricane eye wall that develops here, and that is the strength of a good category 2 hurricane. Now, totally different process how nor'easters form versus hurricanes, but similar dynamics in that. Yeah, lots of moderate to heavy snowfall. Let's go through. Zoomed on in. Lakewood, New York City area, Long Island, still dealing with moderate bands of snow and some heavier bands drifting off towards the east. It's going to kind of start pulling away southwest, northeast across the coastal areas here. Stamford, Connecticut, New Haven area getting in on plenty of moderate snow. It's light to briefly moderate back into Albany and a little bit west. Heavy snow, and this is where some of the crazy totals are going to be. We're talking 3 feet of snow possible maybe in a couple spots in far eastern like Rhode Island, Massachusetts there. Wow, yeah, big deal. Pittsburgh, very light snowfall right now after you saw some moderate snow. This is moderate to briefly heavier snowfall with these lake effect bands. We talked about a corridor of 4 to 6 inches with isolated higher amounts, and setting up generally as expected, maybe a little bit more widespread, and maybe some of these amounts are going to get 6 to 8 inches more widespread. We'll have to keep an eye on it, but several inches already falling there into northeast Ohio. Temperatures in the 20s for the most part. You get closer to the coast, you have some temperatures in the lower 30s. Future radar for the rest of the storm. We're going to continue to lake effect in northern Ohio. A few light snow showers into Pittsburgh. Some good banding up the I-90 corridor into Buffalo. You're going to pull away as we go through the afternoon with that heavier snowfall, and it goes to just flurries once you get into the later afternoon. Boston still dealing with moderate snowfall, but it pulls away from Albany, and it will continue to exit stage right. Lake effect snow showers winding down sometime this evening. There's help. There's still moisture being tossed from the Atlantic into the Great Lakes. You're going to push in some drier air, but these lakes have more open spots and haven't necessarily gotten any colder in the last couple weeks due to the warmer air. So you're going to probably still see a few bands that we're going to have to watch into the overnight hours before it pulls on out. But then a warm front shifts on in. And guess what? No rest for the weary Clipper system. We've been talking about this the last couple of days or so. This will be a quick mover, but it's going to pack a little bit of a punch. It's not just going to be some light snow. There might be an hour or two of heavier snow in here that moves on through and positions itself across the area. And this is going to include Michigan, Northeast Ohio, Pittsburgh area. It'll hit the Appalachian Mountains. It's not going to probably produce much into D.C., but into New York, into much of Jersey, yes. And we're going to have to watch for some warmer air, so a rain-snow mix. We'll have products on this, probably a dividing line here between some mix and accumulation and not much at all. But once you get up into Connecticut, Boston, Albany, yes, dealing with snow showers. And then on the backside of that system, on a westerly wind, multiple rounds of some lake effect with a stalled out trough into the day on Wednesday. And then late Wednesday, that will move on out. Still got to watch this band up around Oswego, Syracuse area. And oh my goodness, could it be another one? Yes, very active week. This system is going to be a very interesting one to watch. We have the chance that it could get fairly organized and it could have enough moisture and strength where there could be a stripe of snow that could be more of that 3 to 6 inch type or more in a few spots. Now, models are diverging if that's over Michigan and Chicago and Minneapolis, or if that's more into like Lexington, Indianapolis, DC. Depending on kind of where it forms, it obviously makes a huge difference if it's going to be in Albany or if it's going to be in New York City as we go throughout late portions of Thursday into maybe even early Friday. We'll have to keep a close eye on that. Don't really have a great feeling. Let's get rid of this first system and expect models to start doing a little bit better. But I do think there's going to be a stripe of impactful snowfall. It just really depends on where. After that, into Friday, quieting on down. So this is through Wednesday snowfall. So this is the current system plus the lake effect plus the clipper system, probably adding a good 1 to 3 inches in a lot of spots, isolated higher amounts where squalls persist into northern Ohio, a good 1 to 2 inches in spots across southwest PA, a couple higher amounts into the mountains, and then as you go on in towards portions of New Jersey, a lot of this is going to be the current system. So you're expecting maybe a good 1/2 inch in a lot of spots with the main system, but obviously the back end of the current system moving through, still a few inches to go. And then as you go further up north along the Hudson River Valley through Albany, I mean, you're talking probably a general 1/2 inch. Isolated amounts will differ. Still into New England, obviously, with this system pulling on out, still several inches to go. If you look at the whole next week, so this is through next Monday, I mean, we could definitely add, again, depending on where this system sets up, if it's in Michigan or down here, I mean, that's going to add probably a swath of 3 to 6 inches, I think. So you're certainly not done over the next week with adding up some more in the way of snowfall. Generally pretty impressive. The weather pattern that we are in. And everybody is like, well, hey, it's the end of February. I don't know if I should be feeling like, okay, it's still winter or where's spring? Well, we're going to find spring. It's going to be cold through the next few days. We're going to get a nice little warm up for a couple of days, and then we're going to get more colder air to come back down. But notice off towards the west, we're going to really pump this ridge, and we're going to pull in some pretty nice mild air. And we're going to push the really cold stuff out across Quebec into Newfoundland. And we should, hopefully, maybe the end of the first full week of March, start pushing in some pretty mild air. I mean, this could be very warm stuff, relatively speaking, across the southeast mid-Atlantic and be pretty mild, even Chicago, New York or so. So something to keep in mind. Still, obviously, a couple weeks out. Until we get there, oh my. Wind chill fun, sure, why not? Yeah, it's going to be just continued cold. Look at those cold wind chills throughout the next couple of days or so. Things do moderate a little bit as we go on in towards your Thursday and then especially for Friday, but certainly feeling pretty wintry until we get to that point. The big time warm air, it stays off towards the southwest. It'll be fairly near average across our area, I would say, over the next 10 days. Some fluctuation up and down. It's an above average precipitation pattern, but not anything crazy. It slows down a little bit 6 to 10 days from now, and we shut off some of that Pacific moisture finally across areas of the West Coast. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Have a great day and be safe.